Okay. Well, kind of tail end of what we were talking about with Brad concerning the VA. Yesterday, we had a meeting with Dr. Bricey and Dr. Frieden from the CDC. He was gracious to come down and spend some time with the CAP. And as part of the meeting, we asked, and we've been asking and discussing this for quite some time now, that ATSDR put together the studies that have been completed and provide their interpretation of what these studies mean to both the VA and Congress. And this discussion we had before lunch concerning what's going on with the VA and the veterans who are trying to get their claims passed through to Camp LeJeune really is a case of point of why that needs to be done. And Dr. Frieden and Dr. Bricey both graciously agreed to undertake that, and I appreciate that. But I wanted to point this out because what we're seeing in the denials and where the VA is at, there is a disconnect between what ATSDR has done with Camp LeJeune, the studies that have been completed, and what the VA is doing, and hopefully we can get that accomplished. So I just wanted to point that out and kind of put that in context.
I had just one more thing also. Can you give us, you said you were going to take the website information back. Can we get a timeline? Like, could you say, can we just get, because what happened last time was the different people who were here said, we're going to take that back, and then you came back and said, they said that there's nothing wrong with it, but some of that evidence that we presented today was actually shown. So can you give us something a little more concrete? Like,
I wish I could, Lori, but it's not my website. I can't change it. I can only take it back and talk to the people who own it.
But are they going to tell you that it's okay again, and then are you going to say, okay, I'll go tell them it's okay?
I hope not. I will take that higher if need be.
That's reassuring, because I hope you fight for that, because it's a lot of the veterans don't know we exist. They only know your website.
It's pretty clear to me that it needs updating. I'll remain strong.
And if you do have any updates, if you could just, shoot us an email, and we can talk email, that type of thing. All right?
All right.
Thank you.
I would also like to kind of compound on what Mike has just talked about. There's a lot of body of work that has been done on the chemicals that is not necessarily being done by ATSDR, and it would be beneficial for those exposed as well as for Congress, the VA, and other agencies, if we could somehow take that body of work and put a summarization from ATSDR, specifically the works that are done on kidney cancer, congenital birth defects, specifically core-truncal heart defects, and some of these other studies that have already been completed where it wouldn't necessarily be beneficial to conduct a new study, but to include that body of work in what ATSDR is putting together.
Yeah, I think that's a very reasonable request.
Tim, before break, you'd asked if we could have some updates on BHA. Would you like to talk to us now? Yes.
In fact, one of the things that I think I was getting to just right before we kind of broke there was there is a form that is used to enroll for VA healthcare through the VHA for veterans, and you can either do it online or you can use the separate form, and that determines your eligibility. And if you're not eligible, then I'll throw you into a priority group like an 8G or something like that, right? Well, Camp LeJeune veterans are supposed to be put into priority group 6, not category 8G. So I've had at least a couple other Marines sent my way that said that they had gone ahead and turned in their paperwork for this to enroll for the benefits, but that they don't have any of the 15 conditions, neither do I. But what had happened was they were just told that that they weren't eligible, so they were put into priority group 8G. And I would like to ask why or what's going on with check on the front of it that says, were you stationed at Camp LeJeune for at least 30 days between these dates? It says on there, so I'd like to, if you could take that back for me, I'd appreciate it.
I will. I don't know, but I'll take it back.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to jump in too on the civilian issue. Just wanted to get it on record. I know we've talked about getting DOD rep from the FECA for the claim side and what they're doing. I just want to put in a formal request that we have them here. I know that their response was something on the order of having pre-screen questions before attending, that sort of thing. I think we can go beyond that and just have them here. That needs to be addressed. So I'd like to get that on record, and then looking forward to seeing the Marine Corps here to answer those questions about that EPA memo that Chris brought up last time that we didn't get answers on yet, including their outreach and what they're doing with their Camp LeJeune Historic Drinking Water website and some of the information that's outdated there and some of the brochures. I'd like to hear, hopefully before we go another meeting, to hear back about that. So.
The question for ATSDR is the subject of the TCE, tox facts, tox profile. Is that going to be changed anytime soon?
Yeah. The tax facts and the profile that came out for TCE came out last month, and it was posted on the website. I don't know, Jimmy, you and that, like, what were you?
No, it's still listed as a probable human carcinogen, and then down below it says that the EPA and IARC have classified it as a known carcinogen, but why doesn't your website say it's a known carcinogen instead of probable?
I don't remember the details. I mean, I think we updated. If you looked at the updated website,
The excuse I heard was that now you're waiting on the MTP.
That was
I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to go back and take a look at it because I don't know the details on that.
Why wait on the MTP?
I don't remember.
I don't think we have to wait.
Okay, thank you.
I'll get your question to Henry Abaddon. He's on the talks group, and he's not here today. So, Henry Abaddon.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the chief of the talks branch, and I'll get your concerns back to Henry.
But we can say that it's been classified a no carcinogen by the following groups. Right? That's a fact, and we should say it. Right?
That's what we do say. We'll done.
So other. Sorry, I was kind of pull those right now.
I'm looking at the talks back right now.
Yeah.
If we can get specifics. I don't remember what it says on this one.
It says you can get dizzy by being exposed to it. Actually, it just says that trichloroethylene is a strong evidence that can cause kidney cancer and some evidence for liver cancer and malignant lymphoma.
We'll look at that and we'll make sure it's.
We had all the agencies.
Maybe we don't.
No. I was
Specifically talking about.
Scroll down, there's down further. Down further.
Yes, this is the
strong evidence that trichloroethylene can.
So I need to figure out what we can and can't say, but I don't see why we can't say the groups have reviewed the evidence and say what they found.
We do it in the next paragraph. I think we do. You already said this.
Yeah, I don't think we need to have that first qualification. But let me make sure I'm not committing us something we can't do. But I agree that we should be, those two paragraphs are not consistent.
And I don't like that disarming language up above, how can trichloroethylene affect my health? And the first thing you read is, well, trichloroethylene was once used as an anesthetic. Well, you can keep that in there, but move it down somewhere below. In my opinion, that is nothing more than a disarming statement to start that paragraph with. And I'm wondering how many laymen will go in there and read that first phrase and say, well, they used it in medicine, so it must be all right, and they quit reading right there.
And I think that's fair. I think we can look at that, and as long as
The versions of the font. It's our comment.
yeah, as long as we don't have to pay you as a consultant, Jerry, for web design.
I just remember how I was in this learning curve, and you know, the first thing that struck my mind was, oh, hey, they're saying this stuff's all right. But, you know, if you don't keep reading, you won't know the rest of it.
And also you're dealing with marine culture, and Marines, the more not passive language you can use because if they find something that says that they're being, oh, well, maybe I'm just being weak, I shouldn't explore this, I'm a Marine, you know. So the less passive language, the better.
Now, Marines, you know,
that first sentence actually could go elsewhere. I mean, I think there's a part in the talks facts that say what are the uses of TCE. It might be better to put it there. I think it's trying to motivate the second sentence, which is that exposure to moderate amounts cause headaches and so on. But I think we can just say that without having to say that TCE was once used as an anesthetic. I think that can go further up. TCE was also used to decaffeinate coffee. Used a lot of inappropriate things.
After surgery, we put the word until they realized people started dying.
Or whatever. Right. I also think that we
just take it out of there.
Right, just take it out.
Could we update the webpage just to know the full status of TCE? Could we update the webpage just to know the full status of TCE? We just.
Wait,
I don't see it.
if it's not on there, it should.
Yeah.
I mean, can somebody tell me when the NTP review should be done? Does anybody know how closely?
It's on it. I think it's.
When will the NTP review be done?
Yeah, it's in the works. It's gone through a whole series of approvals, and I think the final one has been completed. So I'm really not sure when it's going. I think we're not too far away from it.
You make comments. Because I thought we had it on. I just looked at it quickly. No, cancer. I thought we mentioned spoke about that.
To the highlights. Now, here's another point. In the highlights, I mean, good Lord. I mean, should not one of the highlights be that it's a carcinogen? At least say it, causes dizziness, confusion, nausea, unconsciousness, and even death.
Sounds like Cialis ad.
Go ahead.
Everyone did job quick. So we're clear on what the recap is for that? It's a review of that page?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there other concerns or issues to be raised at this time? Okay.
I will say one thing. It is this environment that we're currently in is a welcome change. May it last.
And just since we have one last little bit here, I mean, there's obviously, all of us, I'm sure, feel a sense of urgency, and we want to make sure that everyone else knows that there's a sense of urgency. We've talked about this for years and years and years now, and so as quickly as actions can take place to help the community, the better. That's what I had.
I would like to reiterate the absence of any DOD, DON. Again, we continue to invite them. I wish that they would attend. It would be a welcome change.
I would sign something saying that I won't be mean to them.
With no further issues to raise, Sasha and Janie has an update for some of the work that was done in our pre-meeting yesterday.
All right, so thank you. Thank you for letting me give you the summary of yesterday. We did have a meeting yesterday with the CAP and ATSDR, and during that meeting we went over our current charter language the current CAP charter guidance that exists and what's available. And our discussion, during our discussion, we went over the guidance very closely in 5 areas: the purpose, membership, norms of conduct, operation of the CAP, and goals for 2015. And during that process, ATSDR collected input from the CAP for updates that they felt were very necessary to include, as well as additions of new guidance to address the current activities that we have going on. And ATSDR has agreed to update the current guidance and provide it to the CAP in the next 2 weeks for review, and it will give that to the CAP for 2 weeks to review it. And then we will accept any comments and edits that the CAP has, and then we will finalize the guidance in March.
Excellent. Any questions or comments? So as part of our wrap-up, we're going to just briefly review the action items to make sure that there's not only clarity what the deliverable is, but also who's going to provide it. So if you wouldn't mind, we'll start over on number 1.
So this is, I think it was Lori that requested documentation from the Navy on why they need to review source documents before that would be one we sent.
What the reason rationale is denied.
So the action is a request to the Navy from ATSDR requesting.
In writing your rationale.
Can I just how we think maybe this might work is we'll try and clarify it as best we can now. We'll write it up and we'll send it around quickly to make sure everybody kind of agrees and matches everything once we actually put words to it. We'll try and do that pretty quick so we don't have lag time of weeks. Excellent.
The second one was under the action items for the Navy, which was, I believe we got a report, a written report about notifying women related to vapor intrusion, and requested what does timely manner mean, and the second request was how exactly was the notification done, how much time, that would be a Navy normal. For ATSDR, this is related to the, as it was referred to, a relational database from the Navy of their environmental data. Initially, I believe the CAP was going to provide language, but Dr. Brycey said we could look at, our scientists could look at what we would request.
Yes, yeah, so we need to look at the database and where we are and what we can get to the Navy to make it done better and quicker. But I think we need to have an internal review ourselves first.
This is an ATSDR item to define that. So this is for ATSDR and also the CAP.
This was, I guess, raised in two different parts, but the web issues on the BHA research page. I guess during the items, list of action items, we committed to looking at that and providing some recommendations, and Brad committed to sharing that with the BHA. And then I think we go into further detail over here during the BA of some of the items that were identified. The tox facts, the outdated tox facts, the discussion of, we'll just get to that. But anyways, ATSDR and CAP review and feedback on that page of concern. Brad, BA, provide that to that. Okay. Same action items. VA's action items on, I guess, sending a representative from BBA, BHA, whatever the three action items were that were not fulfilled, those will carry over. And then the question from Jerry for the VA, do you accept ATSDR's work? That's a VA deliverable. Actually, put this up later, but this was the response that was not fulfilled by the Navy on the time.
The serial number.
When the GCMS started. So I just added that back on. The Navy.
Can we put Jerry on that too? Because he needs to get him the serial number.
Okay.
What?
We got a document with the model number, but we haven't found the document with the model and serial number.
Which we haven't done. I don't think we have. We haven't.
Get him what you got. Or get it to us, we'll get it.
Sit down on that and say, oh, we get it.
But we'll get it.
For the VA, confirm to the Camp LeJeune committee that's in the some of the denial letters, whether that's NRC report or something else, confirm what that is.
That's already been taken care of.
Okay, so can we change it, instead of confirming who it is, can we change it to asking to restate it? Or, and challenge, why is it called this committee? Just misleading. Why not call it the NRC report? I mean, I'm not just happy saying because it's the NRC that we're going to leave it.
That seems like that was the title of the report.
The committee?
But any NRC report has a committee. This is the name of the committee that put out the report. It's an ad hoc committee, but that's what they call themselves. What they should have said in these, instead of using that committee, they should have said the NRC report. That's what they should have said, so we all know what they mean, but that's what it is.
They said that it was a committee, and now we're going to committee.
Yeah, that was the committee report. Is the committee the NRC put together.
But you understand how, as a veteran, reading that versus NRC report is two different. The NRC report says it's something I can go see, I can go look at, I can research. That committee sounds like something that you can't ever be. Oh, there's a committee. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's common sense stuff,
We're going to rather be the NRC report of the committee which is what we're working on with Dr. Price here.
Just cross out then? Is there anything to replace that or?
I would look at
VA and ATSDR work together.
adding that is the NRC report into the denial letters, so people can go look at the report themselves.
With Congress to interpret the meaning and results of their studies. Yes, there's a meeting. I know it doesn't.
I think there's two issues. I think what you're saying is right, and what you're saying is something different. You'd like the letters to say, as I'm hearing you, not refer to the committee as the rationale for denial, but say we denied you because of the conclusions of the NRC report. And so they're asking the VA to make that change.
So that would be VA.
Because to the veteran reading it, it's a big difference.
I wish the VA would quit referring to either one of them.
I said I would definitely take that back.
That's right. So we should capture time just now.
So if you want to capture the second part. You.
We've already done that. No, but I think there's a request for the VA to stop referring to the NRC report.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, as the definitive study for him. The definitive review of scientific. I would say as the authority for chemical types.
I think it's important to remember, for some context, a lot of these veterans have already had to deal with the VA, and I know the VA is full of hardworking, good people, but there have been a lot of hardships for Marines and other service members to get care, and so some of them are coming into this with a bad experience already. So anything can seem really intimidating to them, you know. So the more we make it seem like there's some committee, and the more we use this kind of stuff to make them feel as though it's going to, you know, cost them 6 years to try and get care.
This gets back to the same one, so we'll combine it, but updating the research site and mentions, I've listed some of the things that were mentioned, but ATSDR will do a review, like members of the cabinet will submit that to Brad to take back. And then Lori asked for some sort of response or confirmation timeline as to when that might be, those updates might be made. For the VA, the request for a statistical update from renewal of claims. ATSDR, and I might have gotten this wrong, but this is, Chris, yours, a summary of related literature, and I think you specifically mentioned kidney cancer.
And core truncal heart defects.
ATSDR. The VA, and this I did not catch, but it was Tim, it was yours talking about take back issues related to grouping.
Priority group for applicants for
and then for ATSDR talks facts to, and it may be in public comment right now, the new, or the updated TCE talks facts, some of the feedback that was provided on that, taking a look at that. And then Sasha, I didn't write down yours, but the providing the guidance in 2 weeks. Draft guidance document for review to make decisions. And that's everything I have.
Excellent. And there's one thing that came up yesterday that I'd like to get down and make sure we do. There was a request that we look at Mike's timeline and see if we can get it on our webpage somewhere. So if we can make sure we get a copy of that, and I don't see what the issue might be, but we'll certainly see what it would take to get that up there.
I've got an email due to you, so I'll send you the timeline as well.
Let me say,
Okay. You know, Tim went through there and did some work on it too.
Send me what you gotta get them, so I can certain versions, I've got all the versions from the beginning, and then let me see the final version.
and the schoolmaster has. We'll have it to you.
Can I make one more request? Can we ask the VA to do a quick presentation on the family member program for the audience next time to come? Do a quick rundown.
When?
Maybe next CAP meeting or the one following. Since you only had about 150 respondents so far, I think we can do a better job of getting that out there for the family members. So if we can have somebody from the VA for that come down next time, that'd be great.
I got an email from that guy out in Colorado that's heading up the reimbursements. He wanted me to call him. I haven't called him back yet, but I'll call him this week.
I just wanted to follow up on a point that Frank made earlier about the ATSDR studies, and want to know, could the VA post links to ATSDR published studies on their website?
I have ATSDR study conclusion, but that just as part of updating that page.
Excellent. So those are the recaps. As we adjourn, we have a discussion about when and where our next meeting will be. And Sheila, I believe you're best to summarize our discussion from yesterday.
So yesterday we discussed that our next offsite will be somewhere in North Carolina, and what I want to do is a group of us are going to get together and form a kind of a small committee. That will be myself, Frank, and Gavin Smith has been doing some work on that, and we'll start looking at some time frames. So we also want to make sure that we get this outreach to the right audience so that we have a good attendance to this. So be expecting something from me in the mail, email, sometime next week, probably Tuesday or Wednesday, where we'll start really pushing this one hard.
Where in North Carolina did we decide?
That's other piece. That's part of our discussion that we'll get.
Can I be on the committee?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the more the merrier. Yeah.
Oh, I thought she was saying there was only a
Well, I mean, we identified some people last night just to start moving this thing forward so we could go.
Yeah, I'd like to be involved with that.
And I think there'd be feedback from the broader.
Sure, yeah. I mean, that's the other part. We would make sure that this would be transparent, like we discussed yesterday. We'll make sure that even, this process will be transparent to everybody on the CAP.
Because I really am going to try and push for Jacksonville. I know, Jerry, but I'm still going to push for it.
Well, actually, I would want you on the committee for other reasons. The fact that you have meeting experience and that's a major reason. I'm trying to. We were talking at sort of ad hoc after the meeting about setting up a small group of people. So if anyone on the CAP wants to be on it and thinks they can help us with the outreach, because that's the key thing here, as well as finding a place.
So it was really good participation when we were in Wilmington the year before last.
Well, there were two events in Wilmington. One was a symposium organized by the local media there that was phenomenal. And then there was our effort. And we need to do the outreach that wasn't done the last time. So I would want a small group who would be good to work on outreach as well as figuring out where.
Right, and it goes back to, the airport's important. Gavin's points about having access to equipment's important. There's a lot going into it, but my argument is we have so much new science now that the symbolic value of being back, say, in the USO in Jacksonville. I believe if we make the story interesting enough, the media will come, and I believe that changing the way the military culture of things, and it's just like with PTSD, there's been so many years of work to make it so men will come forward with their PTSD and say, I need help. We need to kind of change that culture so Marines, because I have Marines who tell me, I don't want to go get this lump in my breast checked. It was just my job to be a Marine. So I just feel like going back to Jacksonville and having active duty military involved and knowing about it and their families and all the retirees. So I'll be quiet and
throw something in here. If you want to engage the community and engage a turnout like there was with the symposium, then what needs to be tied into this next CAP meeting is a presentation on behalf of the leadership of ATSDR summarizing the results of their studies, what they mean, what this is, and be able to answer those questions to the community.
A press conference.
Yeah, the community has been wanting those answers, and they have not got them.
So, somebody asked a question, this symposium, what do we mean by that? There was a symposium. Was that
it was a gymnasium filled with,
no, it was an auditorium.
What was presented? Morris and I presented ATSDR was to, and this was 2007. So Morris talked about what had been done at Terra Terrace, because that's I think what's done, and what we were planning to do at Hanoi. And I was talking about the studies we were working on.
And these were PowerPoint presentations designed for a lay audience.
Yeah.
Can I propose something?
I don't know where they are now.
We do both. We have a one-day symposium beforehand where we focus on presenting the science to a broad audience as possible, and we follow up the next day with a CAP meeting where we talk about the details. If the symposium was successful, that's probably a better way, to be honest, to get the information to a broader audience than having them sit around this room or watching. So is there a possibility to do both?
There is, but Pat, we did. The problem is outreach. Not a press conference. That's fine, but if you don't do the outreach, it's not going to work. I used to be an organizer.
But I feel really confident in this group in this room. I really feel.
Right. Well, the problem was that we didn't involve people in this room.
Right.
Last time. This time, and that's why we want to set up a team that includes some CAP members, not all of you, but or as many as you want to be on this team. If you think you can contribute to, again, trying to build so we have a large participation from the community. So, and of course, our Office of Communication needs to be involved too.
Yeah, especially. I mean, because when they did the symposium, what we can start is, okay, and they went to newspapers all over the Southeast and had them publicize it for them.
We'll be creative. We can. I've done this sort of thing before, and what we did was the week before, if there was a radio talk show, we went on the radio talk show to talk about the issue, and part of doing that was, say, oh, by the way, if you're interested in this, remind you next week we're going to Tuesday we're going to be here doing this and that. So I like Frank said. I think we could be aggressive in promoting it. And if everybody likes the idea, I think having a symposium and a CAP meeting and separating the two. The goal of the CAP meeting is to work with you guys to do studies for. The goal of the symposium is to inform the broader community and get as much input as we can from them. So I see them as two different things.
Would you, I don't know anything about the symposium, so my question would be, would there be an opportunity for you to answer questions, press questions at a symposium?
I think we can make ourselves available to the press afterwards.
Okay, great.
I think that would be kind of different.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
We'd be open to answering questions to the public at this forum. And if the press is there, we'll have to stand behind what we say.
And they also at this symposium, Star News brought in a toxicologist from North Carolina State, Dr. Joe LeBlanc. He spoke during the symposium. I spoke. Frank and Morris. It was,
good. I like it. Well, the critical thing is, that has to be answered or addressed in the symposium is what does this all mean? Because not everybody's engaged in the community. People heard about this. They stayed on their fringes. There's been a lot of contradictory information in the media by the Rank Corps, by ATSDR. We need to be able to answer for these families, what does this mean?
So we will get our act together, and we will do a good job at that. That doesn't mean we know everything yet, because we're still got stuff ongoing, right? So there's still some, detail to be filled in, but we can be clearer and more consistent about what we've done and what it means. And we can do it in public, we can do it in private with our stakeholders and partners, and we can do it here with you today in these meetings.
Could we have a VA representative there to answer questions?
Do you think that you would have the summary presentation completed by that time as well to go over?
We'll have something summarized, right? Recognizing that the summary, we want to be very careful about putting together the strongest, best summary possible. And I'm new here. We have a lot of staff that are very busy. And I don't want to sit here and say we'll have this wonderful summary written as a bound document and, wrapped up with a bow by the time we do this. But we will be summarizing the stuff in a better way as we go forward. And we'll talk about the time frame. We'll get back to you about what we think a real formal summary will take place. But this will be part of that process. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Really, that means a lot that you're open to bringing something to the table like that. Thank you.
I've got one more thing I want to bring up. So yesterday during our when we were doing the charter discussion, we talked about membership, and so one of the people that has been in our audience several times is somebody that I brought up in emails and everybody we talked about, and people all agreed. And after yesterday's charter, we have agreed to bring Bernard Hodor on board for our next CAB meeting. So following this meeting, could you just stand up and let everybody see you? So following this meeting, he's going to go upstairs and get some paperwork done, and he will start sitting in on our calls and then be officially on board.
Hey, Brad, can you just tell us 2 seconds about yourself at a microphone?
Yeah, we'll sing a song. All right, how y'all doing? I'm Bernard Hodor. I'm a disabled veteran. I've been since 1986, and I was at Camp LeJeune. I was exposed to contaminated water, and I'm looking forward to being on the CAP game, giving videos and giving other veterans a lot of information about this Camp LeJeune water contamination.
Can you spell your name?
My last name is spelled Hodore, Bernard. Thank you. Thank you, and it's an honor to be on the CAP.
Welcome.
Excellent. Well, we've reached the end of our agenda, and our meeting's now officially adjourned.
I just want to say one thing, okay?
Please.
Coming in this week, and I can tell you this, getting ready for this CAP meeting and trying to get my arm around Camp LeJeune has probably been the vast majority of what I've been doing since I've been here. And I never thought when we were planning for this meeting that I'd say this, but I can honestly say thanks a lot. I think it's been fun. Thanks.
Jeremy's supposed to be